Hello, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Speed Seasons 3 on the GDQ Hotfix. I'm Darkman78, and I am not Amber, as you can probably guess. They are taking a well-deserved week off, so I'm just filling in for them. But, as always, we have the wonderful Alpha 5 with me today to, for those who may be coming in for the first time, not too familiar. Alpha, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Seasons 3 and what this is all about?
Okay, well, yeah, so Speed Seasons is a get-yourself speedrunning event that I'm running. The basic premise is this. I announce a game that is secret to everybody. Nobody knows it. We showcase a high-level run of it. We showcase a tutorial of it. And then everybody has 2 weeks to learn that game. After those 2 weeks have passed, everybody joins a big race to compete for a Steam game that I'm offering from a selection I have through me. And also for points. And the points they get are determined by their placement, and their overall amount of points determine whether or not they can qualify for top 8. That is a playoff bracket that occurs in 2 weeks, and everybody in top 8 gets cash prizes that are provided by me. Through that, you can check out all of that information at speedseasons.com. The most important part about all of these races, though, is that and this is, unfortunately, you have maybe 18 minutes to learn all of Katamari and join the race, or even just join the race. This is the last race that new people can join and still qualify. There is a minimum of 4 games to join. But I would still encourage you to join races if any of this looks interesting at all. All of these races are open to everybody. If your goal is, I just want to play a video game I haven't seen before and it sounds like fun to play, just play, and this is an excuse, or like, it looks like it might be fun to speedrun, but you don't want to, you'd only have to grind it for 2 weeks. You only have 2 weeks to play the game, to learn it. Lets you make a smaller time commitment than say, I'm going to grind this down really hard. Your goal is just to be whatever you want. And that's really the point of the event. Every excuse to just play video games and have a good time. That's what this event is about, basically.
Video games.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so, as Alpha said, of course, we're going to get into our 4th game, which is Katamari. But real quick, before we do that, I'm just going to read off a few announcements, and then we'll kind of get into the explanation of Katamari. So, FYI, if you are interested in volunteering for SGDQ 2021 online, our volunteer submissions are closed for now. However, chat moderation and social media positions will be open later. So just keep an eye on gamesdonequick.com for when they're open. And if you are watching on YouTube, hello, by the way, and would like to support our live content, please consider checking out our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to any Twitch channel of your choice every month for free. So, maybe this one, that'd be cool. We do appreciate, your subscriptions, your bits, and all that. That really helps kind of continue putting on these shows. So thank you very much for your support. Speaking of which, if you want to know more about our Hotfix shows, they are available. A list of them is available at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. You can also find out more information about how maybe you can submit one of your runs to any of our shows. So take a look. And lastly, tomorrow is a community spotlight where you get to see game number 5 of Speed Seasons 3. You get to see a little tutorial showcase. What game 5 is? Well, you'll just kind of have to wait until the end of the show to find out. But yeah, that's it for announcements. So let's kind of go into game 4, Katamari Damacy. And we have our wonderful commentator here, Sunk here, who's going to kind of help us talk about this cool game.
Yeah, hello. How's it going?
Good.
I'm really excited. This is the kind of game where there's going to be a ton of variety in terms of how much people have learned the game and what decisions they make in the moment and how they correct their mistakes. And I expect there to be a lot of back and forth leads for all the people who have just learned the game.
It's really interesting to me because on the surface, when you look at Katamari, it seems like a very straightforward game. Make ball, complete the level. But there seems to be a lot of subtleties and nuances to the run.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, for people who've spent 2 weeks learning the game, a lot of the movement subtleties won't matter too much, but the route is just so complex that there's going to be a lot of variation in terms of one person misses one item and one person gets it, and that just changes the sequence of events for the next 30 seconds for both of them. And that kind of stuff just constantly happens. The game is so hard to control that you're never going to consistently pick up the same objects. So sticking to the route is very challenging, and that's true at a high level too.
Yeah, I was noticing just kind of like watching you do the run when for the show last 2 weeks ago. It doesn't. I guess it's like hard to really understand how difficult the movement is, but just like watching it, it seems like it's a little finicky at times. How would you like describe the difficulty of the movement?
I've always compared kind of, well, so one big thing to understand about this game is that the fastest way to move is after you boost to constantly be turning. And that results in us turning back and forth, and we just call it snaking. Snaking keeps you at a higher max speed, but because you're constantly turning back and forth, it makes it much harder to actually line up with the objects that you're trying to pick than if you could just move in a straight line. So I think it's kind of comparable to racing games that have, like, you know, higher speed when you're drifting, where you have to drift back and forth constantly. But unlike racing games, you're not just trying to get from point A to point B, you're trying to pick up all of these objects in between that make it harder to line up your turns constantly. So you're constantly trying to be turning, but also not missing objects. And in reality, that just doesn't work out. You miss objects or you slow down. And knowing when to do one or the other when it's appropriate is one of the things that makes this game really deep. And then the other thing to understand is that every object you pick up has a physical effect on the ball. And that's what makes this game really, really crazy. There's muscle memory, but you can't rely on it completely, because if you pick up some really long sign or fence or something, suddenly the physics controlling the ball are totally different, and you need to just have an understanding of all the different ways it can control when you do that.
It almost feels like the precursor to a randomizer, right? Because, like, you know, it seems like one run is never going to be quite the same as the other run. You're always going to do something maybe subtly different or significantly different based on just what happens. And sometimes it's just out of your control, I guess.
It definitely demands the same ability to react to what's going on and figure out what the best correction is.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, as players that I guess have only had, you know, 2 short weeks to learn this, what is, like, I guess, like, what do you think is, like, the best approach? Or I guess, like, what is it that you think they've been practicing the most, I guess, to kind of just, like, adapt to the run?
Yeah, so what I always recommend for learning is basically what I did to learn the run is I focused way more on the route to start than getting all of the movement right. And what I did is I went level by level, and I would play a level, and then watch a video of the route, and then play it again, and watch a video of the route. And every time I went back and forth, I would be like, oh, they picked up that sandbox there, and that makes it so you're big enough. It's like, that's what I was missing. That's why I got stuck there for like 15 seconds trying to get that last millimeter of size.
That's wild, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I missed that one little tree. All of a sudden, the entire run is different, right?
It's very hard watching a video of Katamari and not playing at the same time and understanding which objects actually matter, because you pick up a lot of stuff incidentally, but when you're running the game, you're only focused on, like, the stuff that actually contributes to your size. And knowing the difference between the two is hard when you're just watching a video, but when you're playing the game, you will completely understand, because you'll skip something and you'll be like, oh, I'm totally fine. Or you'll skip something and be like, oh, no, I definitely needed that.
Right. So do you feel like, I guess, with their times, with the runners' times that we're going to be showcasing, do you feel like there's going to be a lot of, I guess, variation between what they're capable of and what they end up getting because of that?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And also, it'll really just depend on how much time they've put in as well and how many practice runs they've done, because when I started learning the game, if you have, like, a solid foundation understanding of the route, you will improve incredibly rapidly. And depending on, you know, how far they are into that learning curve, there's probably going to be runners that are PBing by, like, minutes compared to whatever their old best time was. And yeah, there could be a ton of variation. Like, I think my first full run of the game was something like 42, and then I ran it back right afterwards and got like a 40. Like, just immediately knocked off 2 minutes, because, you know, you don't get stuck too small at one spot in 8, 9 or Moon. Those are the longer levels, and then suddenly you save literally minutes on just one stage.
Right. All right. right. So, Alpha, what do you think? Any thoughts? What do you think about this game?
I'm very excited because again, if anybody's picked up on a theme, I've picked a lot of games that are sort of pick and choose where you're going to save time or try to, make up time. And this game is very much learn what you're going to do to try and make everything as consistent as possible. What boosts are they going to take if they go out of their way to grab something else because something else requires a boost that they can't quite line up. This game is a very, very nice degree of just sort of build your own route, even though it's a super optimal way to, or mostly optimal way to do everything. As I'm watching someone just get run over by an elephant on the racers that we have.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's another thing that can punish you for making mistakes in this game is there's plenty of NPCs that are bigger than you or that you need to pick up that are on cycles. And just as with any other speed game, missing a cycle means you lose a larger chunk of time than missing something that's static.
Yeah, it's especially going to be a lot of fun because it's this game. Maybe Doom was really hard for a lot of our viewers to follow, or with Link's Awakening, people had no idea what was going on. People were just jumping all over the place. You're watching this and you kind of understand what's happening. The person's ball isn't big enough, and they're trying to pick up a truck that run them over. It's very straightforward, at least from a viewer standpoint. It's very wacky, but concepts are clear and the game showcases it well.
Yeah, the objective is just get big as fast as possible, and that part is definitely really easy to understand. How you get big is the complicated part, but yeah, it's definitely it is also straightforward, I think, in the sense where if you see that somebody is bigger than another person, they're probably ahead. It's not like there's weird routing differences where like, oh, they were choosing to get big at a different part of the level. There's very little of that. So if you just look for their size in the top left corner, you'll see who's actually ahead in the level.
Yeah.
That is very helpful.
And for the most part, the levels are distinct. There are some levels that take you back to the same area, but you're usually a very different size by the time you get to those spots.
Mm-hmm. I will be interested to see how many people tie the bear world record of 1 second.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got 1 or 2 of them on stream. So, I think I may have accidentally gotten it casually the very first time I played bear.
I'm gonna need more lore on the bear.
You'll get your lore.
Yeah, I can explain it when we get there.
I don't want to spoil it.
You're right.
It's one of the only, it's the only optional level that you do, because Katamari has, all of the stars labeled 1 to 9 and then make the moon. That's what's required to win the game, is just making the moon. But you gotta do one of the optional levels, and for that we do bear.
Okay.
I'll explain the rest when it comes up in the run.
Fair enough. We're almost ready, just waiting on a couple more people to ready up. This is, I believe Alpha covered this earlier, but if not, we'll just cover it again. This is people's last opportunity if they have not entered in already in a single game to start. You can still get in games 4 through 7, with today being game 4, and you'll still be eligible for those top 8 playoffs. But, it's not a big deal if you haven't, even if, you don't end up playing in all 4 games, you don't make to the playoffs, you can still join, the later games, especially if you see a game that you really like. Because, the best thing in the end is, you see a game that you like, you end up joining, then, you maybe end up playing it more, and there you go. You're a speedrunner. So don't feel like you can't join just because you don't have a chance to win it all.
Yeah, it's still a lot of fun, and you just try it out if you've ever been interested in getting into speedrunning anything. It's a pretty good way. It's kind of how I did most of my very starter speedruns that weren't hilarious meme games like Fantastic 1 Point Fun, which is a name for a video game, turns out.
That I don't even want to know. I'll just leave it to that one.
You don't need to know. But yeah, so I think everybody's very close to being good to go. I think we could start off soon if we're ready on tech. I say that as one of our racers just unreadies themselves. Yeah, I am just waiting to see our racers get ready. They were all ready and then they stopped.
False
like
alarm.
3 of them unreadied. But they still got time. We're not scheduled to start for...
It's true. You could say, though, that, you know, since they're so ready, they're really wanting to get the ball rolling. I'm obligated to do these for the rest of the episode. You realize that, right? That's what I thought. Good.
Yep.
Oh, I see TPC's on the Japanese version, which is a little bit of a time save. Might have to do some time adjustment or something if it matters for the race.
Oh.
How much time does the J version save?
I don't know the exact time offhand, but it's around 40 seconds. It skips a cutscene after Make a Star 1, basically.
Wow.
Oh.
They could choose not to skip it.
TPC can read Japanese, so I'm not surprised they picked the J version for everything. You know, at least it's less of a time save than Link's Awakening, where it was play the Japanese version or lose 3 minutes, your choice.
Yeah.
Classic.
There's a good chance that nobody's within 40 seconds of TPC's time. Just in either direction.
Yeah, very possible.
All right, so it looks like we are getting ready to go. So the count is going down and we're gonna begin in 10 seconds. So here we go. It's gonna be great.
There's a lot of people in this race.
All right, we're off, yeah.
Quite
That's really good.
There's a lot of people in these races that are enjoying it. As we get intro cutscenes here.
Yeah, this is just mashing, getting to the levels.
It's a good thing that just by watching the speed run, you're not even ruining the plot for yourself. Oh, the controller's also a different color in the Japanese version.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Why would it be a different color?
As we see Socrates doing the tutorial.
I guess Socrates doesn't know you can just press start. You can ignore the king and not do any of that.
They have the best time of the people who submitted times as well. So that'll be curious.
Boosting off the table. So you have to be 5.8 to get those cookie sandwiches. That's what everybody's trying to get big enough for. It looks like everybody's playing it pretty safe on the table, making sure they're big enough before boosting off, which is smart.
Yeah,
I think
like
this game is great for new learners because, I mean, a lot of my description of kind of what makes it a deep game is why it's impossible to play perfectly. But it's also very easy to play imperfectly. Like there's no question of not being able to complete a run. You can't really get stuck and not beat a level. So it's really great for a new learner.
Yeah, and Socrates took a more aggressive route through that level and made up some of the time by doing the tutorial. And this is, I guess, where TPC's time save comes in, 40 seconds.
Yeah, so the Japanese version lets you skip this cutscene that's telling you how to play the game.
I can't believe TPC's not going to know how to play the game, though.
You know, that's true.
Interesting decision to go back for that one tile. These are definitely objects that don't matter, I would say.
Yeah, I think being very careful, missing like a couple tiles just because of the way the gum is,
Yeah, the gum and the caramels are what are really important to be big enough for the candy. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of that. Players who have figured out, oh, you don't really need this, or players who are like, I'm just going to pick up everything to make sure that I'm big enough.
Yeah, getting wrecked by the Legos is not quite big enough.
Yeah, I think you want to go for the other stack first, because I think the red, green, and yellow Legos have different sizes. So
Yeah,
you get that stack of red first.
Yeah, he was going straight for the 3x2s instead of the 2x2s that were at the bottom of the pillar. So.
Ooh, pretty aggressively small leaving the house. Not sure if this is going to work out with socks.
The more aggressive route here as well.
Oh, he's picking it. They're picking up extra. I forget that those are erasers or soaps. It's in Japanese, so I can't tell.
We'll figure it out when either Shoehorse, Suck Cheese, or Just Defend make it there. They're picking up the candy and doing the boost. Very close race between our other three racers as cutscene skipping powers on TBC's side. Although having some problems at the end of this level, just trying to get big enough for those tomatoes. Grab the scissors, finishes on the shoe.
126 is definitely a time that they could save versus. I want to say for like a really new runner, like 1 minute is pretty reasonable. We'll see with the other racers. My judgment could be totally off. It's been a long time since I learned this game, so.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the other racers we have off screen just because there's a couple of them. LK also playing on the Japanese version, but probably purchased that in, when the game came out. One of the few Japanese runners in the event.
113, 111? What did JD get? JD got 111 as well. Yeah, so they all saved a little bit of time there.
And TBC looked like they got lucky on some of the butterfly pathing. I think
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4 of them.
That helps immensely. It means you can miss all kinds of stuff or skip all kinds of stuff and still be big enough for the eggplant. Got another one right there for the eggplant. Oh, it's still just 1 millimeter too small for the eggplant.
Yeah, he rolled over it because of the knife. It bounced him up.
That knife has crazy wonky like collision on it. You often like bounce like crazy right after picking it up because it sticks into the ground and propels you forward. TBC was 1 millimeter too small before picking up the knife too, so they needed it. Oh, the brick load. This is kind of a weird glitch that I don't understand why it happens. Those bricks sometimes just spawn there.
Huh.
Only happens in PS2. They don't really get in the way. But the first time I saw it, I was like, what are those doing there? Those aren't normally there, are they?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a favorable. Well, it gets both a very favorable, like just the wandering units spawn there. They weren't in the way, but he couldn't save. They couldn't save time off of the pots that they had on their heads, or whatever those were. I don't remember.
3 is a level that I've found has some weird issues with loading things, and I think that may be related to that weird brick spawn. I found some weird glitches where that I've never really found out the reason for, but ending the level and then hopping up and down for the bird's eye view, I've made the color change for like the whole level. Like a lot of assets despawn and everything just glows orange and it's all black.
Huh.
It's very bizarre.
That is quite strange.
Everybody's coming up on the last stretch of 3 kind of at the same time. Still pretty tight between the other 3 racers.
Yeah, they're making good work. I'm excited for 4 because 4 is
Ping pong jump.
Yeah.
Who will get it? The table.
I do love sandals.
The table is a part of the run that, even when you've learned the game, there's not really any good way to implement a boost on it, but there's a lot of time to save with clean movement and controlling the camera.
TBC grabbing a lot of erasers.
Yeah, the extra batteries before the erasers don't really matter for your size.
Oh, doesn't quite get that jump.
That
it
is
gets
like
wedged
worst
in there.
case. Can they get out of there?
They can. They
This-
lost a lot of erasers though, and they're quite stuck.
This might be a save quit from that level, honestly.
Yeah, that's some time loss. That's very unfortunate.
If you get stuck there and end up too small, you're really just in bad shape. It's very hard to get back out of that side, and you'd have to go back up to the table to get big enough once the objects that popped off of you respawn. The reason the game does that is that if it doesn't make you just lose objects, you're just stuck permanently. So to prevent you from soft locking yourself, if you get stuck between two things like that, the game just starts shredding objects off of you.
All right, looks like Socrates is ready to perform this jump. They're going for it. Bouncing, not
bad.
quite,
Not
but
the
not
worst
in a bad
outcome.
position. They should be able to roll up there. They grab
Yeah.
some.
There we go.
Okay, not bad, not
That's
bad.
enough. You don't need all the ping pongs.
Yeah,
One of the
it wasn't ideal, but they didn't have to save and quit. So, although it looks like Shoehorse nailed it.
I see JD struggling to climb over there. It's not the easiest thing to climb it quickly either when you don't make the bounce. Something I tried to describe during the tutorial is basically you don't want to just hold forward. You want to slow down right next to the wall. Otherwise, you're just going to bounce off of it repeatedly. And then you need to re-push the sticks forward to climb.
As we see, grabbing some objects. Very close race between everybody. TPC just getting back into the level. I'm not sure if they missed the jump again or if the loading was that long.
Yeah, I missed it. I was watching the other racers, so I didn't see either. Missing the jump's not the end of the world, but ending up wedged where TPC was is killer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get out of that spot as soon as possible and not try to climb from that part either. You just got to just go back around to where the flowers are and climb up there.
Yeah, as we are seeing, very close race between Socrates and Shoehorse, although Socrates pulling a bit ahead here, but I think it's only just like a length apart, like one of those streets.
Yeah, they're all
Shoehorse not going
on
for
the
any
same
boosts
loading
here.
zone. Socrates getting a consistent ending. He was 1 millimeter off finishing without needing any other boxes.
And TPC reset again.
I missed it. You definitely don't
maybe
have
they
to
think
make the
the
jump.
jump is that important, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, the back of it just being able to climb up is not the worst.
even if
It was like
it's-
10 seconds, but
Yeah, even if it's this scary, there's probably something else you can go and grab.
there we go.
Okay, that much better. Okay, should be okay, but that's a lot of time losses. Everybody's moving on to make star 5.
It's just one of those things I feel like, you know, you had the limited time to practice. Maybe one of those things that just like weren't prepared for it to go wrong, and then it goes wrong. It's like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to warn about the big things, like if you fall off on Moon, just restart immediately. But there's so many things in this game that I couldn't possibly point out every single one of them. There are very, very few scenarios where you actually want to save quit, though, after a mistake. And that's definitely one of them, when you end up too small at the start of 4. It's about a
Yeah,
20
just getting
second
stuck.
loss or so whenever you save quit.
Yep, okay, ooh, gets a nice bounce there for Shoehorse. Is that a 7 or a 1?
He's
That's a
already
1.
heading to the sandbox. He's definitely broadening his lead right now at the start of 5. It's going pretty cleanly for him.
It looks like, yep, JD hits the right size threshold right there. Everybody hitting that one part at about 21. And Socrates getting that nice bump and grabbing that extra handcuff. I think they were big enough.
Yeah. He's going to have quite a bit of exercise going into market, but honestly, this is a spot where that exercise is helpful. If you don't get all of the bowling pins, you can end up undersized. Oh, because of how I didn't see if he didn't boost going down the hill. This pretty much guarantees he's going to get all the
Yeah,
the bowling
did not
pins.
boost it all down the hill.
Yeah.
So it was just grabbing, it skipped 3, but that size is good.
Oh, yeah. You don't need all of them. You just don't want to get screwed by getting only like 3 of them, which can happen when you're bouncing down the hill after a boost. But if you choose not to boost, it's a little bit slower, but it's very safe. He's huge right now. He only needs to be like 65, and he's 67.5. Missed that pineapple, but he does not need it at all.
No. At all. Just following the route and just grabbing all the extra size. I think it's been boosting less than everybody else, just
That's
in
smart.
some more dangerous areas.
That's smart. That's definitely how you win one of these races. Minimal boosting, plenty of extra objects. Nothing can go wrong.
And let's see the path they're taking. Okay, they go up instead of trying to boost over.
Yeah, it's a good backup. That's solid. It's smart. When you're already big enough that you don't need anything by the kids and the kids are in the way, if you react to it, just rolling over the bridge and going down onto the steps is pretty good. The only downside is
definitely was huge enough. Finishes right where they need to.
Yeah, 245 is solid.
Yeah, so Socrates posted is like, my 1 through 6 was like sub 17. I'm hoping to finish this run, you know, in the 30s. And then as they kept submitting their times, it's like, okay, my Make a Star 9 is like this time. I hope I have a better time here. And it's like JK 45.
Yeah.
So the last. They might slow down at the last stretch where I think Shoe Horse has a better time for the last parts of it. But that's a interesting part about this game is that it's front loaded very easy and then it just picks up.
Oh yeah. Because the levels get longer, and that means that you know, size errors accumulate, and you gotta. There are points where you hit bottlenecks and it doesn't matter how much you've picked up prior, but there's way more size continuity in bigger levels, such that if you're small, it continues to hurt you unless you figure out how to correct it. And because they're so much bigger, it's hard to know how to correct it. I think Moon, the last level, is something we're going to see a large amount of variability in as well. In some of the practice before this stream went up, I saw times around 8 minutes, but I could see somebody who's new to the game finishing anywhere between 7 and 10, really.
Yeah, Moon is such a. It just gives you so much time to do it, and you can go very, very fast, but it's not. Like, on my first playthrough, it wasn't great. Like, it took a long time because I was just trying to see everything. Like, there's just a lot of hidden details in this game, too. So fun to do all of that.
Socrates playing the exit of 6 very safe in a very smart way. Not boosting at all there means that it's going to be very easy to be big enough for the barrel, which lets you pick up all those sheep, and it makes you much, much larger going into this part of town.
Yeah, it doesn't quite get this jump here. Oh, it gets it very good the second time. Hopefully it doesn't mess up any cycles that they're expecting. These levels where there's all of this stuff going on, the cycles can be very important.
Yeah, on this particular one for 6, the objects from the cycle are a boon if you can get them, but you don't need them.
I just meant not getting hit by cars that they're not expecting to be there.
There's the one big bike that is there that for some reason, no matter how big you get, seems to always knock you in 6. It's not like 7 though with the swan boat. The swan boat is much more threatening.
Yeah. I think I was thinking of 7, but yeah. This is about when it starts. But yeah, there's a complete from Socrates, going very, very quickly.
Yeah, 158 on 6 is not bad. JD spinning up a boost but not quite getting it twice and then giving up. Giving up was the right choice. At that point, if he tried to boost again, I think he might have just huffed.
Yeah, there's that hidden stamina meter that is apparently much more aggressive on the PS2 version, if I was right.
Yeah, it's something to do with the PS2 forces you to actually spin up for longer before you boost, and your stamina is constantly draining while you're spinning up. I don't think that's a bare world record from Socrates. It was a very safe no boost.
I don't even know if you can miss it. Oh no, 3 seconds.
Yeah, it was a no boost.
That's 3 times the world record. Very, very suboptimal.
He went for the bear that we used to go to before we realized that the other bear was faster, which with boosting, that was a 2-second bear. So to explain why the racers are going to be doing bear. Oh, getting a little lost on the world map here. To unlock Make a Star 7, you have to play 1 to 6, but you also have to have played one of the constellation levels, and bear is by far the fastest to play, because the object in bear is to get the biggest bear, but the level ends as soon as you get any bear. So the speedrun just picks up the immediate closest to smallest bear that you can. Is JD gonna go for it? Oh man, nobody's going for the world record bear.
I just accidentally hit it. It's really silly. You just boost and like, oh, okay, great. I'll roll down this hill and get what, and it just says bear, and you're like, what bear? I don't know what bear you're talking about. I can't even see it.
If you discovered it, you should have let us know, because we spent far too long going for the 2-second bear and not the 1 second bear.
This was like a while. Like this was. Hang on. When did reroll come out?
Like 3 years ago or so, I think.
Yeah, it was around then that I did it, so I don't know if you guys were already doing it, but I thought like, yeah, okay, they're probably doing that.
Yeah, I think it was around when reroll came out is when some of the new, I might have been Martini, one of the new players who came when reroll came out, was pointing out like, hey, why are you guys getting this bear? It's like, oh yeah, we should.
Yeah, that is far too long to have not gotten the bear. That's literally just immediately there.
Well, so I think for some reason we thought we couldn't boost around the combine harvester that's in the way there, but you absolutely can. You just you just snake around it.
Yeah, so here we have some bananas from Shoehorse. Socrates is getting big, very, very solid run from them so far. Let's see, TPC is cleaning up 6. JD also on Make a Star 7. And I'm just looking at our off-stream racers. Everybody is about at the same part except for Mid Boss, who's on like 8 right now.
The one farmer.
Yeah, the one person who's farming and is apparently upset at this game for some reason and paused for like 10 minutes to vent. But you know.
I appreciate that in the race chat, TPC has some choice words for this video game. I'll just leave it at that.
I can imagine. Can imagine being upset at 4 for what happened. Oh, Socrates, I wouldn't go for those guys.
Okay,
they grow you quite a bit, but it's scary getting stuck in the corner. That's one of the places, it's very, very rare, but you can go out of bounds in this game. And the game has a built-in solution for it. You fall for a while, and then once you're far enough out of bounds, the king resets you and says, Royal Warp, and puts you to a predetermined place in the stage. And that's one of the places it can happen for sure. I've seen people fall into that corner.
I'm guessing that there's no place to do that in a manner that would ever save time.
No. You like just thinking about the concept of this game, you're almost never trying to travel from point A to point B without picking up anything, and you're not going to pick up anything out of bounds. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it would be like if it just dropped you in the middle of this stuff is amazingly good for you, but it's all the way across the map or something like that.
Right. Yeah, and if even if that were true, it'd have to really benefit you, because you spend quite a while falling. Depending on where the lower bound of the level is, that's how long you have to spend falling.
Yeah. So.
So you gotta,
probably a good thing. Don't wanna have any convoluted clipping in a game that everybody already doesn't know what they're doing in.
Yeah. Instead, it's just something that occasionally just totally owns you, and you have to reset immediately after, in a very comical way. And when I say occasionally, I mean really rarely. I've only, in all the hours that I've played this game, I've only clipped out of bounds like 2 or 3 times.
So for those who are just coming in, can we maybe, not so familiar with the game, can we maybe update in terms of our players on screen, who's ahead and who's behind?
Yeah, so Socrates is in the lead, starting up Make a Star 8 as soon as he finds it on the map. Shoehorse just finished 7 as well, not too far behind. Just Defend is wrapping up 7. The goal is 6 meters, he's almost there. And TPC is in 7, but much earlier in the level.
JD finishing on that flat fish pole, whatever's going on with that.
I think it feels to me like Shoehorse and Just Defender catching up to Socrates after that 7. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, they're definitely closer. I think Socrates' performance on the later levels is a little bit worse. Because, you know, you can be super amazing the first early levels, but, you know, the entire back half of the game is just as long as those levels.
Yep. Yeah, 8, 9, and Moon combined to be about half of the run. All of the levels before are not as important, you might say. There definitely could be a position swapping during this level. Oof, missing those spatulas. Going forward with just one, I think that should be fine.
Stop themselves to be able to grab everything, going back for some extra size.
Definitely the right choice. I've seen him do that a couple times in this level, and it's definitely not something I did when learning. I'm much more of an aggressive player. If I miss something, I just like boost forward and see if it's going to work out. But he'll stop and pick up the objects, and so far every object that I've seen him stop for has been correct.
Yeah, I haven't seen any bumps or just like bad sizes. They know what size they have to be. It's just making sure that they are where they have to be, or they know like it's like I have to be this big probably. And they're always overshooting, which is, you know, something that's perfectly fine in this game, is to over guess what size you need to be.
Absolutely.
You want to be bigger.
There's two ways you can improve at this game. You can always play it safe and slowly cut out the safe things, or you can always play it risky and figure out what owns you.
Socrates with that nice wall roll up just to get start climbing. They were having some problems with their, I don't know what's attached to them, the bottles of hot sauce or yams or ham or whatever it is, just was bonking them off the wall, but they were able to roll
those are just
nice and
hams.
easy.
Yeah, it's the three little pigs over there, and you've got hams along with the piggy banks. You've got the straw house, the brick house, and the wood house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of motifs like that in this game.
There's a toaster. Grabbing that toolbox. Oh yeah, didn't boost and made sure to grab the toolbox for that extra size.
It makes it so you can pick up those lucky cat statues immediately. If you don't get the toolbox, you're often too small to get them immediately. Oh, what a good boost. Grandpa and Kid totally out of the way. Oh, he's a little bit small here, though. Gonna have to pick up some backup
it was actually
stuff.
when they were approaching, they got the toolbox, they bonked off the first Lucky Cat statue, picked up the helmet, rolled all the way to the other side, and then was able to pick them all up.
Yeah, in general, you wanna end with picking them up on the right side anyway, so might not be aiming to pick them up, because boosting there is how you get the manholes and the pickaxes just afterwards.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
Oh, getting the carry guys right there. Taking advantage of the slower cycle there. Oh, you can press start to mash through that as well.
Yeah, Socrates not knowing about those skips, because I'm just remembering, I don't think I saw you see any of those, and I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, a lot of those loading and like the king telling you where to go next in the level. You can press X to get through them, and they're all very short, but you can also just press start to skip them entirely. Just a few dialogue boxes here and there.
It looks like some trouble still maintaining a lead as Shoehorse is catching up a little bit slowly. Basically, not that far behind. Doesn't skip that either. As Just Defend is
also,
right behind that, and TPC is just starting 8. Let's see how they're doing. Grab the milk. They're at a decent size.
Definitely, but you only need to be 29.0 for the rakes, really. He's already 28. They're going to be plenty big.
Yeah.
Just skipping across to the rakes, sure, that works. Recognizing that TPC's got all the size they need.
Yeah, bouncing along. I love just sometimes the people animations where they just
they bounce,
just screaming and vaulting off of their heads. They're just in the ball, like
there's a real
as a pogo.
Real cacophony towards Moon once you start picking up things in buildings, and they're all got all the phone noises and people screaming all over on top of each other. Very loud.
Yeah, and then they're exploded into stardust.
I think the most obnoxious thing is the cops that shoot at you when you're too big near them, and they just keep on firing. We're not picking them up, so you just keep on hearing blah, 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 blah.
Oh man, and they can bully you with their gun too, like it's mean.
Socrates finishing up 8 right there. very clean. I feel like with the style of play he's got, very consistent, it might be hard for people to catch up to him.
Yeah, unless their moon is extra slow because of safety.
Yeah. I did see during the practice before the stream, when he was practicing Moon, it looked like he was maybe a little bit more lost on Moon than the other levels that I've seen so far. Moon's a big one.
Big and long.
For reference, for people who aren't familiar with this game, at a high level, roughly, a lot of the levels 1 to 7 are like, you know, in the minute range. 8 is around a 3 to 4 minute level. 9 is a 3 to 4 minute level. Moon's a 4 to 5 minute level. And that kind of number just kind of grows exponentially for newer players. So Moon ends up being a very lengthy level compared to the others.
He's getting bullied by some of these dogs.
Yeah. So as soon as you pick up those meat, all the nearby dogs will chase you for it.
I'm enjoying that the pumpkins are called yellow squash despite being orange. Some of the names of some of the things in this game are quite amusing.
He's plenty big right now.
Oh yeah, very big.
I appreciate that they have to look out for a pineapple.
Was it giving him a lookout warning?
Yeah, look out, pineapple.
Oh, I think the lookout warning is not for the object they're picking up, it just shows in the same place. That's a warning that pops up whenever a moving NPC is nearby you who's too big for you, like behind you. So you have some warning that something's about to crash into you.
And it's just like, oh, you're about to hit this, but you can't see it. It's gonna be mean. It's a pineapple.
I mean, pineapple can be really mean, so I understand.
Yeah, okay. Trying to roll up there. I think might just go around instead. Still trying to claw. I would just walk around at this point, I think.
Oh no, he's trying to get the bench. It's against the wall there.
Oh, I see. I didn't even see the bench there.
Yeah, he kept on trying to spin at the bench because it's right wedged against the wall. You don't need to get all of them. That was probably maybe playing it a little bit too safe, as we mentioned. But it's definitely not a bad idea. Getting like 2 of them should be enough most of the time. But it's very challenging to pick them up because at this part of 9, you've got a very, very pokey, weird shape for your ball, and you're trying to get close to a wall. Not a good combination. So you spin, which makes your hitbox temporarily smaller and more circular.
Shoehorse just bonks straight into them.
Yeah.
Just gets it. Very nice.
What a god.
Yeah, I think that they noticed which part of their ball was pokey and then rotated the prince around and just held left so that it wasn't using that side.
That is incredibly high level stuff to be doing.
Yeah,
Recognizing
that's
the
some
shape
really
of your
big
ball
brain
already.
stuff there. Okay, and here's
the gas station climb. It looks like he's got it. Easy setup. No trouble getting in there. No trouble climbing.
All right, it's just looking to get big enough for those trees. Very close. Walking off of something they can't see.
Yeah, it's that hill. That hill is just a little funky. I think because of the ledges on it. Skipping a car. Yeah, he's a little bit small now. Still caught up because, as general, like I've been saying, he's just oversized. So he skipped a whole car over there, which is one of the biggest objects you pick up in this area. Now he's got it. And he was still big enough to pick up the other cars. Now that he's got the palm trees, he's going down into Lower Town, and then he'll come back up to get trees.
Hits the big house first. Didn't want to hit that. You want to hit the smaller house.
Well, we don't actually pick up the houses here. The house he bonked into has some palm trees sticking off of the side, which help with your size. The main thing you're going down there to pick up is the carports, which are the big awning type things.
Right, I was thinking of after.
Right, yeah, when he goes back down after the trees, just now, he will be picking up the houses. Oh my gosh, that boost from JD was sick going into the 9 gas station. He almost slid in there. I think he's close enough to climb though. Oh no!
Okay, yeah.
Bounce. There we go.
I think they were at a weird. JD was at a weird angle there.
No.
Okay, he's got to get back up there again.
So he should go out to the side and then come up to next to the wall. Oof. Yeah, the hill. There's a lot of weird weighty momentum when you're climbing up hills and you don't make it up to the top. You really can't just hold forward to climb up them. You got to go back to the bottom and reaccelerate again. Socrates, I think a little bit too small for the ships here. Might be a little bit of a rough finish on the small end for this part of 9. It's very tricky. Going for the safe climb.
Going for the nice safe climb here, but bouncing back.
I'm not sure he's... Oh no! The long sign that you used to vault just popped off of him and bounced up to the top. Now it's going to be really hard to climb up there. Opting to go get more size.
Extra size here.
Yeah, so getting the extra size might make it easier to climb. Just because your ball is slightly bigger. Oh,
yep.
Instantly got up.
Definitely worked out, but there's a building that's bullying them. They weren't quite big enough for it, or they were just bouncing off the ledge. And Shoehorse is caught up quite a bit, only 3 meters away at this size.
Yeah, if he can wrap up the end of the level more cleanly, he'll gain a lot of time. JD not too far behind either, picking up buildings right now. You grow very quickly at this stage of the level, so there's not much time between them. TPC coming up to the gas station climb. First try? First try, easy. Don't fall off! Oh no, same thing that happened to JD. And you can't really just roll back up there because you're not big enough and you just fall beneath the roof. The intended route from the game, by the way, is to go through the schoolyard and there's a hole in the wall that gets you up onto the gas station, but because there's no collision beneath the gas station roof, you just pop right up through it.
I was wondering a little bit how that worked. If it's just like, oh, it's just you're dragging yourself up and doesn't check things above you ever, which
so JD
I guess
can
it doesn't
vault.
if there's no collision there.
Oh, he noticed it. He noticed it.
Good vault.
The sign was poking off of him in a weird way where he wasn't going to be able to climb the normal way, but if he just backed up, he was able to vault onto the roof there. A little bit small to finish. This is always a little bit weird because there's lots of big buildings around you, but you don't know which ones are left or which ones are, you know, the best to pick up. They're all very similar.
So of our off-screen racers, Midboss finished first and then immediately commented a picture of Farmville. Pretty solid performance.
To be expected. I think he's the only one who joined who has a history of running the game.
Yeah.
One of the best PS2
Actually, one of my
players
first
as well.
times watching this game speedrun was you and Midboss racing it at GDQ.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. In-person races at GDQ are always super fun.
You threw by missing a jump on Moon.
Oh, did I? I was most certainly not practiced while Midboss was actively playing the game, so he won almost all of those races. But they were close, so it was fun.
Jay missed the pineapple at the start.
Yeah, you can't skip the pineapple. If you don't get one, oh, please don't fall down. He's a little bit small, but this is recoverable.
You can pick up some more radishes, possibly, or maybe
radishes, or just more of the small stuff at the start, like the roast on bone and that stuff. He should be fine. Looks to be okay.
Yeah,
he's already caught up. A little bit scary. Yeah, you have to pick up a pineapple first. The peaches are big enough that you just need one pineapple before you can start picking up them as well. Socrates already climbing up to the second part of Moon. Just keeping a really solid lead. Oh, that fence is a little bit tricky to get through, JD. Fell down on the wrong side of it. Got through it, no problem though.
I just want to say I appreciate that they specifically highlighted one of the people as American guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very big guy. He's a little bit off of the route, but sometimes he's there, and you can just pick him up when you're picking up the pipes.
Nice.
I believe there's a category for this game where you pick up one of every unique object.
Yep, that's 1438. Pymiddens is the main runner at the moment. It's something Grass theorized and routed a long time ago, but we sort of gave up on because one of the big downsides to racing or just running a category that does every single stage and gets every single object is the constellations, for the most part, don't let you quit out early. This is what lets Katamari be a speedrunnable game, is that as soon as you complete the goal size, you are able to quit out and it counts as completing the level and everything is added to your collection. That's not true for a lot of the constellations. You have to wait out the timer, even if you've completed the goal. So it essentially turns half of the levels into auto-scrollers. And the even worse part is that the cousins that you pick up on them, which count as an object, don't appear until your second run of that level. So you have to do them twice, which is brutal. It adds hours of just sitting around. More recently, there's been a mod created for reroll, at least, that makes it so you can quit out at sensible parts of those levels and keep your collection progress. Makes it not auto-scrollers and a much more interesting speedrun.
That definitely sounds like a lot of fun if they fix the auto-scroller parts, because the auto-scrollers in speedruns, unless you need a breather sometimes, you've been gaming really hard for a solid 30 minutes and you get a 2-minute auto-scroller where you can just stand still.
Yeah, it's far too much. It takes the game from being like a 5-hour game to a 3-hour game to be able to skip those. Like it's ridiculous.
That's already crazy compared to just beating the game, just being, nice, easy 30, 50-minute time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really see Socrates' lead going away at this point.
No, 30 here, it's huge compared to Shoehorse, doing an excellent job. If I check even the off-stream racers, the closest would be St. Joe, who's been playing very well in all of our races, is sitting at 20 meters in Make the Moon.
Oh, close. Ahead of our other on-screen racers.
Yeah. Yes, this is actually, overall, very close race between everybody sort of involved. Everybody's on Make a Star 9 or the Moon, and it's very impressive.
Do you have like much say over like where the objects end up on your balls, or kind of random?
It's where you pick them up. As you orient the ball to pick them up, that is where they stick to you.
Yeah.
So technically, you have complete control over your shape, but realistically, it's very difficult to orient yourself for every single object. But like I said, every single object affects how the ball controls.
Yeah.
So for the bigger stuff, you pay attention to it. Like when you're setting up vaults, you will pick up an object at its end and then try to orient yourself such that you are high, like the fence is sticking you up way up in the air when you need to be. But theoretically, you could do that for every single object in the game. And I feel like you don't really consciously do it, but subconsciously you get an idea of what your ball is going to control like when you pick up objects in certain ways, and you adapt and get better at it. This is a game where you see constant improvement as you get better, which is very rewarding.
Absolutely, and I'm seeing just JD was getting bullied by a panda balloon, but has picked it up. We'll show it by blowing it up and turning it into the moon.
And JD got through the building part
halfway
really
there in size, but
oh, he's almost done.
yeah, almost. It's like halfway there in size, but the last 150 meters of moon go very quickly.
Yeah, this is gonna be a solid time. Did you say his PB from before was like 47 minutes or so?
45.
45?
So probably gonna PB here, considering we're somewhere in like the 41-ish, just crossed it.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a multiple minute PB, which is what I was saying. If depending on where players are in their learning cycle, these could be multiple minute PBs right here. Your early runs, you learn a lot just in the one run that you do. Oh, safety spin, but a little bit awkward on Moon because you're so weighty at this part of the level. You have so much inertia that it's hard to turn around. He's
Yeah, I think
almost
they
big enough.
vaulted over some stuff they needed, so they did that safety spin to go back and grab things. Grab
And
Scallop
there
Island,
it is.
Splashy Island, and there it is. GG to Socrates.
Wow.
Grabbing
41.
a 41.53.
So I assume that beats their PB by a few minutes.
Are we going to see the proof call stuff now? Just getting as big as possible?
Yeah, just go grab some more stuff. I told them to keep playing because nobody does that.
Yeah,
they
you
run the game.
pretty much just quit out. Like, maybe I'll do like a boost or two while I'm talking about the run, but yeah.
And, you know, now they get to do stuff maybe they didn't practice. Maybe they actually get to play the game now, you know? Try and go for 100% or something
This
like
is the
that.
true casual experience. Never before seen
Yeah.
content.
Yeah,
How big
like
can it go?
I always let the timer run out to the end because I just want to try and get everything.
Yeah,
I'm not very good at controlling Katamari, but
when you speedrun Moon, you get to the end and you have about 20 minutes to gather the stuff that's on screen, and you'll get big in there. There'll be very little left on the screen for you to pick up. Looks like the gap has widened a bit between Shoehorse and JD. Shoehorse almost coming up to the ending already. Pretty fast.
yeah, Shoehorse getting there.
Not
Very
far
clearly
behind at
having
all.
some problems climbing.
Miss some of those islands. You want to be a little bit bigger than he is right now. 230 is probably good.
I love the names of the islands. They're just all silly. The Scallop Island, Sea Lion Island, Mackerel Building, Brine Building.
Much faster finish to 300 from Shoehorse.
Very quick, 834.
Moon's a long level.
I'm noticing all of these buildings they're picking up are just fish references. And as we see Shrambles coming up here, Shrambles doing pretty good this event as well, and is sitting at 86, so ahead of Tea Party Cthulhu, behind JD, Shoehorse making their moon bigger.
JD's coming up on the ending as well, just now. Oh, a little bit too small for that island. I hope he goes back for it. It's scaring me. Oh, a little bit too early to be going to the ending right now. At only 200. Although getting those extra buildings will make up the size he needs to pick up the islands back here. So this is gonna work.
Agger Island.
A little bit circuitous
they beat
route.
up the turtle. They flipped it instead of picking it up. That's a shame.
225 is a little bit sketchy. Yeah, he needs to go back for some more islands. Or just go anywhere, really. There's lots of big stuff he can
just
pick
go.
up. Like, these
boost
whirlpools will
grab
be
all
enough.
the whirlpools and the octopus.
Now he should be big enough to just get back on route and finish up.
Grab Zero Island.
Just a little bit too small for these squarish islands. There we go. With Bubble Island, he's fine. So there's this very narrow slot just before the stadium called Bubble Island that sometimes you pick up and sometimes you don't. Really helps you close the gap on size.
Oh, and JD with those issues got sniped off stream. Piper and Pika Pals both finished.
1 second apart.
Yeah, 45.05 and 45.06. Very,
Crazy.
very close. Something happened to Joe. They were ahead of that number because they're back at the start. So, or maybe that's a 7 and not a 1. But no, that definitely is a 1. So something happened on their Make the Moon that caused them to reset.
JD's kind of stuck bouncing in place.
But yeah, Shrambles having some fun.
Trambles is
Very
also
close.
very small for the ending right now. Backing up.
Yeah.
Backing up. Now he should be big enough.
Shrambles, I know, has gone out of the way to tell me I'm evil about most of these games, but has found so many backups and safeties to figure out how to do it for just everything. and has joined every race, so is clearly
Nice.
enjoying himself. Probably just giving me a hard time. And there we go. Big finish from Shrambles. Socrates just found out he doesn't need to play the tutorial.
Yeah.
Well, better late than never, right?
Yeah, I mean, they still got second place, you know? You take that when mid-boss is farming. Just defend it, telling them to shut up. Yeah, they probably, if they knew how to skip everything, they may have been able to get like a 40, maybe even a 39 with how I don't know if it's 2 minutes they would have saved. If they were playing on JP, they would have gotten a 39.
Another close finish from I think some off-stream racers, 3 seconds apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pop-Tart Cat and LK.
It's super close between like so many people.
Which is wild because then like there's like pairs of people that are really close, but then they're also minutes apart from the others.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Watching a blind race of
Everybody's-
this game was one of the most fun things I did as somebody who knew how to run the game.
Yeah, there was a blind race in the mystery community maybe a year ago or something like that. TPC was actually
I totally
in that
missed
race.
that. Wish I'd noticed.
Yeah, it quit out because they weren't feeling good. I think the fastest finisher was Jal, who promised me she was going to join this race and all of season 3, and joined exactly 0 of it. So I'm mad at her for reasons. But yeah, they finished like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. As for I think it was blind, and then everybody else was around the 2 to 3 hour mark. Just seems reasonable. You know, I know my playthrough of this game was much longer, but I also did all the constellations and then kept retrying the constellations because I didn't like the size it gave me. Constellations are very fun score attacky.
Yeah.
If you're into that, it's quite a fun way to play some games, and the king basically always motivates you by giving you just the worst feedback ever because he's kind of a jerk.
Something I've been meaning to do for a long time is there are some constellation levels that are speedrunnable, really, which is basically getting the biggest bear and the biggest cow as quickly as possible.
Bear is hard to get the biggest one on because it's so easy to touch another bear,
Yeah.
especially when you get super big and you can't see the smallest bears anymore.
Well, and the other thing is that the biggest bear is flying around in the air on a cycle, right? Or am I thinking of cow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to, the trick to being able to get it early is actually to vault up so you're high enough, or to bounce or to boost or something, and you have to line it up with the cycle as well. So it seems like a very challenging level to save time on. I think some of the newer players who have been playing 1438, which is the all objects category, the 100%, have optimized that level and gotten very good times on it. And I feel like it's something I should learn because it's more Katamari speedrun content, and I love this game, so.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of different movement that you don't normally do, or like just, oh, I'll go grab this stuff because this is fun, and just other things like that. It's a lot of fun to do that. As we see Damacy's our last featured racer, probably getting pulled up. It's just grabbing stuff at the start of Moon, so probably not that far out, depending on where their weakness in the game lie. If it was early game, if it was late game.
He's a little bit small right now. Just needs to get a bunch of boulders before the mushrooms. That caught him up.
What are those things going around Shrambles'? I don't remember that.
When you get big enough, those start showing up. I think that's an indication that you unlocked the Eternal version of the level, which is a level without a timer that lets you just play forever.
Huh.
And there's one for 4, 7, and 10? I don't know about 7. Definitely 4, I think, and Moon.
Yeah, I can imagine some levels not really needing it. Or are just so small or indoors.
Yeah, the thing is they also share a lot of maps, so
Yeah.
didn't do it for every level.
Like half the levels, except for the indoor ones, are in 10.
The indoor ones are probably technically there, but you never go inside them.
Yeah, you know, they might be part of the Katamari
So, I
already.
mean, for some context, you start out Moon at like 60 centimeters. You finish Make a Star 1 at 10. So it's a little bit too small. Oh, I got smacked by the sub there. There's a cycle of those swordfish jumping, and there's a submarine, and the submarine is brutal.
Yeah. Everybody's doing very well. Just checking our
Ooh,
off
boosting
screen.
straight over. Big enough to get away with it, though. Possibly a good idea when you're that big.
Yeah, and it's just closing up. Damacy's also just someone like Shoehorse who joined just for this. They hadn't participated in anything else, but they're like, I want to play Katamari, and then this is what they're doing. It's a lot of fun. This game is just fun to play at all times because it's just there's a lot going on, but the music I could listen to the soundtrack forever. Like it's such a good soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Although right now I'm not hearing any of the music.
Yeah, it's a shame that the way we have to view the game, we can't hear the music, but you know, just have Katamari on the Rocks blasting in the back of your mind because you definitely remember exactly how it goes. Yeah, Davies is getting closer. Shrambles is trying to find more size. How big can you get in?
I don't remember what the size record is. There are people, less so in the speedrunning community now, but there are people who have gone for like size PBs. In general, I think they're easier, quote unquote, to just max out. Like they're much more achievable. There are some challenges in terms of getting every object before it despawns because you've gotten too big for it to load anymore. I want to say in Moon, it's somewhere between the 900 meters and 1,000 meters mark, maybe just over 1,000. Oh, Davesy's seemingly stuck on nothing right now.
The classic.
There's that
Classic.
little ledge between that island and the brick island and the green island is tricky. He can get caught on that. He just needs to back up, but he probably can't tell what he's crashing into.
It did manage to free themselves. Grabbing more size, they're approaching.
Definitely bigger than he needs to be right now. He only needs to be around 110 before going to the bowling pin bridge.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, but you know, won't run into the size issues that we had with some of the other.
He's getting to the
races at
size
the
where
end.
he could just like skip the bridge and get the huge buildings already.
And maybe they're having problems just rolling across the bridge.
Oh, there's a big trench down here though, which is a pain to get up as well. Not big enough for the big buildings though. Those are at like around 144, I think. 140?
Yeah, but grab all of those, and now is at 140.
Now we should be able to get them. Yeah, I think so. This is just a thing that happens when you're learning the game, is you don't know which objects are important. And once you'll like, if you watch another video right after doing this run, you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I could have just skipped all that. You know, suddenly save huge chunk of time. It's just part of learning the route.
Absolutely. Getting very close, headed towards the end, grabbing these islands. More buildings. Just waiting. We are almost through. This is very impressive. I don't know if Davesy's speedrun or anything. I did look up some of our newer competitors. Like Shoehorse holds the world record for the N64 version of Wheel of Fortune. Win a hand or whatever, easy. It's just such a silly category because you can speedrun almost anything that isn't an auto scroller, and people still race the auto scrollers anyway. Shoutouts to Barney's hide and seek no controller co-op %.
It's a great run.
It's a great run that you have a chance to get world record because you might skip an object.
Big enough to finish now. Just needs to got that bubble island. That makes things a lot easier.
Yep, and is picking up everything very close. Just to grab that last little bit. So close.
Go back for it.
I think it's just rolling around.
There's plenty of stuff you can get to finish, but it would be fastest just go back there. There it is.
And there we go, Splashy Island. There we go. We have finished with everybody. At least all of our featured racers. This is exciting.
Good stuff. Got under the 1 hour mark.
Yeah.
I don't think that Davies said that done though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right, we're in there. That done 57:33. So yeah, awesome. That was a great race of Katamari. Hope you all had fun.
Absolutely a lot of fun commentating that.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. I don't know. If you thought this game looked fun and you want to learn it, the Katamari Discord's full of good resources. Plenty of people who will answer your questions as you're learning. Lots of other newer runners. It's a super fun game to learn even if you have no intentions of getting to the highest level. I think it's very impressive just to get to like around a 35-minute mark on the PS2. There's actually a bounty for a reroll posted by Grass, the record holder. If you can get below 30 minutes in Katamari Damacy reroll, you will win, I think, is it $10, $20? He's just been paying it out to anybody who wasn't already on the leaderboards when he posted the bounty and who learns the game.
Nice.
So that will basically pay for your copy of reroll if you have an interest of
that's some motivation for me to buy the Steam version.
It's pretty cool. Well, there you go. If you all want to, earn a few bucks for playing a video game, go ahead. Take him up on his offer. Awesome. Well, yeah. I think that's pretty much going to do it for us for Katamari. Sunkir, thank you so much for providing the time to not only do the run and provide the tutorial, but also commentary. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Absolutely. And yeah, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a few minutes break while we get set up for game number 5, the reveal. So what's it going to be? We'll stick around and you'll find out. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, and welcome back to Speed Seasons 3. I can't even say my words. I am Darkman78, and I hope you enjoyed the Katamari race. That was really fun. It was a really cool game 4. A lot of close finishes, a lot of back and forth. So I enjoyed it very much. We are going to get into our game 5 reveal, but before we do that, we just have a few announcements we're going to read real quick. Sorry, we just had some technical difficulties. Making sure everything's good here. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Excuse me for the technical difficulties. Hopefully this is fine, TM. We'll see. Anyway, let's keep going with the announcements, and somebody will yell at me when it's not working. About our Hotfix shows, you can check us out, gamesdonequick.com/hotfix, to see what we showcase each week. You can see what we got. And if you want to submit a run maybe to one of our shows, one of our many shows, we have a lot of shows, just look for the information over there. And finally, tomorrow is our community spotlight, which is run by the wonderful Railcoon, who is on tech right now. And we're going to have a tutorial showcase of the game you're about to see in a couple of minutes. So look at that. How's that for a transition? I'm going to let Alpha 5 take it away from here.
Okay, so game 5. Yeah, this is the first game after our halfway point. So I maybe decided to, go and pick something that might be familiar. It's a game developed by I guess it's published by Sony Image Soft, so it might be more well known. It may have also been released on the Super Nintendo. Let's roll the clip.
Skyblazer.
Yeah, Skyblazer. So this game features. I want to say it's a lot of interesting things. It's a lesser known game. It's got sort of gameplay from a lot of different things you would see. Like you could say, oh, this kind of looks like Ninja Gaiden, or this kind of looks like Mega Man, in just how it is. And it's a really cool game. And joining us to talk about it is Omni Gamer. Omni, how are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's good to be here and bring up my first speed game. Yep, I actually went back and looked up the post on SDA. I first started it in January 2012, so that should say a little bit about how far this game has come.
Yeah, it's quite exciting to have this here, especially considering due to some things I kind of asked you maybe last minute to do this. Not as last minute as what happened with Link's Awakening, but yeah, only 3 months in advance instead of like the 5 that everybody else at this time would have had. But yeah.
Oh, it's all good. I mean, I know this game inside and out by this point, so coming on and being able to share kind of all of the little intricacies and things that I love about it is a great pleasure as always.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have anything else other than maybe getting to the run.
I want to see some video game.
Yeah, I want to see some video game.
I believe
I heard there was video game.
I believe we're ready to go. Let's make sure Railcoon is okay.
Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna get into the run and start to just give some of the background as I'm going through. There are a number of opportunities for just side scrollers and all the rest of that, but be able to give out plenty of background. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of very tiny detail that you probably won't be able to see until a tutorial later on, but yeah, I'll try to cover just as much as I can get to as we're going through today. So let's see. I'm going to let the title screen cycle one more time because unfortunately it stops taking input after it plays out a little part of the music. But then we'll be able to do a countdown. Do any of you want to start that?
Sure, we'll do it for you. Smallest one.
All right. So just let me get back to start screen. Sony Music Japan, yep. Gotcha. And all right, whenever you're good.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So Skyblazer. You probably just have no idea what kind of game it is just by looking at it at the start, but it's got a little bit of everything. They try to introduce a lot of different genres to it. It's first and foremost a platformer, but you've got some little Mega Man elements and everything else. I'm taking damage just in this intro section so that when there's a cutscene that plays out in a little bit, I need to lose all my health. It just kind of preps it up for it. But so far, I really don't have too many tools. Like my only special ability is this crescent. You can see me fire. It doesn't really help you for speed. It kind of locks you in place. It does a fair amount of damage, but there'll be plenty more to do with that later on. The game overall, it was localized to a fair extent to the point where they kind of got rid of the original story. Just you might be able to tell from the general scenery and everything else, this is very heavily influenced by Indian mythos and just architecture and some of the stylings. In the original Japanese version, they keep a lot of that story. I believe this is the story of Garuda. Maybe some details changed and that sort of thing. But for the Americanized version, we'll just kind of swap everything out. This is Old Man instead of some other Indian god or another that you might recognize if you were paying attention to those kinds of things. But still, like I said, there's not a whole lot that we have powers to do yet. So a lot of just kind of holding right. They're gradually introducing you to just the overall feel and mechanics of moving around with these couple stages. There's not a whole lot to report until we get here, and that's where things start to get interesting because there's a lot of different strategies in play about how to actually do well. One of the first ones that'll come in is damage boosts. And right here, you have a fairly lengthy invulnerability time after taking damage, and you can use that to just go through some of these obstacles that are otherwise a pain in the butt to get around. And including walking on fire. They're also kind enough to leave some little secrets and shortcuts here and there. But now we get to the fun part. There are plenty of zips and clips in this game with some significant caveats. Just a moment though while I take care of this boss. Or he'll take care of me, all the same. I timed it just a little bit late. You want to send out a punch right as the fireballs are coming down, and you'll be able to get rid of them. I need to do a little bit of a backup now though. Unfortunate. So you can juggle him pretty well, but for every frame that he's sticking around, yep, he'll basically there's a counter that goes off, and you can only let him go through a certain number of counts before he goes back into another invulnerable cycle. Ideally, if you can juggle him with those crescents, you'll be able to get it just right so that all of the frames don't expire by the time that you exhaust his 32 HP. Something to do with the damages here. A single punch is 1 damage. The kick at the end of a punch-punch kick combo is 2 damage. An aerial kick is also 2 damage. And most times, any of your special abilities will do 4. So obviously you want to try to take out a boss or any other more difficult enemies with your magic where possible, just with the significant caveat that every magic that you choose it's a resource. So that orange bar at the top is what determines your magic usage. The crescent is actually the cheapest, most efficient magic that you have in the game. For only 1 magic point, you can fire that out. For all the rest, including the power that I just got, which is the comet, we'll be seeing a lot more of that very soon. Most of them will do 4, with some exceptions. This is one of the auto-scrollers that I promised. Not a whole lot to say. I went through that stage a whole lot of different ways, trying to make it interesting. You can go through without killing enemies, with picking up every item, things like that, but in the end, you still just want to kind of kill everything as quickly as possible, because you will inevitably end up eating some lag frames. You head into that door just to reset these elevator cycles. So that you can get up here, and now one of the more difficult parts of the run. Yep. Okay, this is the climb. You need to do 4 consecutive zips here. There we go. Oh. That's fine. Deaths are at least not costly because they put you into the same room. You still don't want to die at all. I've already, this would have been a reset and a half by now, but for the purposes of keeping up resources, deaths are okay. You can plan around them. I'm having to do some on-the-fly resource management as we're going through, just to make sure that we have enough comets and everything else to get through. There we go. On our way. But yeah, zips are... They're all frame perfect, and that sounds bad, but this is one of the few games that I can think of where generally you're not punished if you happen to miss that frame perfect input. If you miss, you just kind of stay where you are, and then you press it again until it goes. So I'll go into more detail on what that actually entails later on, but first off, deal with Mode 7 the boss, and you always make that joke about Mode 7 the boss, but I realized just recently this is the only boss screen that doesn't have a background, and that's because they're using the boss. Normally they would put the background in the Mode 7 layer there, and instead they're using it on the boss, so it's just a plain blank screen. So literally Mode 7 the boss. Okay, so now we're done with the first world. This is kind of like you can almost think of it as the tutorial set of missions, where they're giving you new powers. Every boss you defeat will give you a new power. Only a scant few of them are actually necessary, useful for the speedrun, but they're important all the same. The bosses themselves are much more useful for the fact that they give you a full health and magic refill. And like I said, planning around that magic consumption is one of the key parts of stage order and just planning for like which zips you go for, which manipulations you do. This is a little mini game in between the worlds. Luckily, there's only 2 of them in the entire run. But you can just fill around, get some extra magic. The crazy wiggling that I'm doing is actually about the only way that you can accurately control yourself here. That'll be good. I'm positioning myself as low as I can and just in the right spot so that when a mine is going to appear pretty soon, it'll hit me as soon as possible and I'll fall off the bottom of the screen as soon as possible. Cut down just on a little bit more of those frames. But now we've got another bit with Old Man, and most times when you get to meet the Old Man, he'll give you an extra health point. So we go from 5 up to 6, and 6 is where we're going to keep it for the rest of the run. There's opportunities to get up to 2 more HP, but both of those are optional. So we're going to keep them optional and keep going from there. And now we get into some really interesting strategies. This is where buffer strategies start to come into play. And I'll do the first one in just a moment. This one's free. Ones after this are not. So right there, fire 1 crescent, and both of those guys are going to drop a big magic, which is crucial to being able to go through the following region. Okay, and this one is... I got it. Okay. That should be good. All right, perfect. Yeah, I got both manips there. Those are 2 separate 3-frame windows. And missing them means that I have to do 2 extra cycles on the boss, which is not good. But for the newest, most recent strategies in this game, getting those are necessary. It used to be that you'd skip doing some of the comets earlier on, and just go through and conserve your magic so you can take out that on the boss pretty easily. Not the case here. Since we can manipulate those, even though it's more difficult, we want to go for that every time. And that was new tech as of just, I think, 1.5 to 2 years ago is when I worked that out. So this boss, he has a weird damage table for whatever reason. The dash does 4 damage, and a small handful of other magics do 4 damage as well, but Crescent only does 1 damage to him, so you can't use that most efficient method of dealing damage there, so you need the 8 magic to be able to take him out in the minimum number of cycles. This stage, it's the shortest stage, but it's also tricky. Just a moment. Small backup. Okay. These slimes are an absolute menace. Those little droplets that they launch up, they will knock you out of your comet, which is one of the only things that'll do that in the game. For example, basically everything else will not knock you out of comet, with the exception of like spikes. That's how dangerous those little slime orbs are. I have no idea why they're that way, but it makes getting through that stage really annoying. But now we've got probably the #1 space for new players to rage quit is the water temple. If you're going through casually, just trying to find your way through, this stage is awful. There's not really any good indication of how the switches work. It's actually a maze by itself. So yeah, it's very easy to get lost, and when you're lost, you'll likely stay lost because these currents will definitely take you to an area where you cannot advance. But since I've been running this game for almost 10 years, I know all the tricks. So we'll just carry it on. This boss is also another problem, and there's a very strict timing I need to go here. Not perfect, but reasonable enough. Anything where you're able to take out all of those clams at once is a good day. The main thing that is important there is just, since you are able to take them out, they don't spawn these piranhas that chase you all the way around, have a ton of health. They're extremely annoying. One more manip coming up right here. This is another few frame window. I think I did it too early. Yep. Oh my gosh. This is backup strats. Normally you'd be able to take it all the way across, but I didn't get the manip, so I don't have the magic to spare. This is where it gets a little weird. You notice I have 4 magic, so I'm going to take that 4 magic and head to Gateway. There's another 4 magic here. There's a slightly faster route that you can take at the beginning, but you need full magic to be able to do it. Okay. And then you take the sky route. And since you kind of exhaust your entire pool of magic just getting through, you're not really well set up for the next stage, which would be the that little tornado over there. Instead, we're going to head back, go to Fortress, which is an auto-scroller, and there's some very specific things to do here. So let's pay attention. Go all the way around. Don't get that gem. Damage. Okay. There. There it is. Okay. That's one of the newest techs, and this is something that I had been looking for years, was some way to manipulate magic here. And you'd think that, oh, it's easy enough to try and manipulate magic in any kind of auto-scroller. Oh no, it's the exact opposite. Simply because you don't have good other opportunities to align yourself. The way that the RNG works is that it's always fixed based on the start, or based on the number of frames since you entered the screen that you killed an enemy. And since you can't perfectly control your movement in these auto-scrollers, it's much trickier to actually be able to take care of that. But since I've got full magic, I can do the fast strat here. So just going to do a comet right away. And then all the way across. So the gimmick of this stage is that the only platforms are these wind platforms, which are not the most forgiving. Nope. But still, so long as you keep up with a steady gameplay, you'll be able to get through without much trouble. Okay. Very quick strategy on that boss. It's pretty difficult to actually be able to pull that off. Getting hit is not part of the plan there, but I still managed to pick it out all the same. You need to hit him kind of at the right opportunities so that the RNG is set in your favor. He'll always move in the same path so long as you have the same number of frames that he was hit, which sounds maybe a little simple, but it's actually a lot of practice and coordination to get that just right. All right, buffer a jump through those. Oh, I got the ground zip. Very difficult maneuver, but that's one of the few places that'll really save time. And lava room's done. There's all sorts of fun things that you can do with zips in this game, and it's honestly fantastic, like any time that you're able to pull it off. And all of these things aren't super difficult to do. Like, they definitely take a lot of practice. So, not off to a great start. There's some fairly tight attack timings on Dragafint here. Don't ask me why they decided Dragafint is the boss of Lava Runes, but recovered all the same. You're supposed to use every single one of your crescents to take it out. I whiffed on 2 of them, so there was a couple extra cycles as a result, but fine. Didn't die. Pulled it through. Alright. Skip that old man hut. He would have given me another health, but I would have had to listen to some story, so skipping right along. Another very short stage, but this one's pretty easy simply because you take the secret exit and just book it out of dodge. And of course it leads into one of the more difficult ones. This is probably the most technical stage just because it gives you a little bit of everything. There's many opportunities for manips, for damage boost, and uh-oh. Yep, my timing is off. I'm dead now. Yep. So this is a very tight zip to be able to pull off. Unfortunately, you need to get stuck. I'm dead again. You probably have 2 opportunities to do it the way that I'm doing it, to pull off a zip. And remember, they are frame perfect maneuvers. There we go. So there, I can blast out my iframes. Special trick there, you crawl up into the ceiling just as the... Oh, now I'm stuck. So I'm gonna wait it out here, actually. There we go. I'm taking this room slightly slow. There's a better overall pathway through here, but I don't have the health to pull it off right now. So this is just playing it by ear based on where my current stats are. All right, one more manip right here. This is an easy one. 2 punches, head over here, take him out. All right, there is a manip in this room. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go for it. It's pretty finicky. There we go. I didn't do the manip, but paid off with some extra magic anyways. Okay. And the stage is done. The dragon, the boss here, pretty darn easy. Honestly, a letdown compared to the rest of the stage, but there's still some strategy to work out. 7, 8, 9. Okay. A perfect cycle there is 9. There's only a very small window. I have a particular setup where I get hit to be closer when I put on the Warrior Force, which doubles my damage temporarily and makes me invulnerable. It wears off just as you're getting that 6th hit in, and if you mess up that timing a little bit, you wouldn't be able to get that extra damage for one more hit. It would take another cycle. But otherwise, that's just about the epitome of optimization for that whole sequence. Not too bad. Like the difference in a cycle is about a second, so it's not awful if you miss the timing, so long as you have a good positioning to work from. Now we're heading into the last stage, which in typical NES and Super Nintendo era means a boss rush is coming up. That is perfect. Okay. I'm checking my alignment with some of the horizontal lines in the background. You want your little hair point to be slightly above where there's a region of just kind of solid colored water. Menu boss coming right up. I don't know how many runs I've lost to just mashing through that single line of dialogue. and then Old Man is more than happy to regale you of the good old days if you happen to press too much. We are also gifted with our very last power, Phoenix, which for a lot of reasons is definitely the very last power. Gives you a ton of damage. You get the free flight ability no matter where you are. And you pay the price for it too. It costs 4 magic, more than anything else. And it's also a get out of jail free card. I was playing this a little bit more aggressively than I should have, but really, if you feel like you're going to fall in this particular section, there's no problem with just letting out a Phoenix. You only need 1 Phoenix for the first start of the boss rush, which is our old friend, the lamp. We get a little bit of payback here. And that's all she wrote. So the Phoenix does 8 damage. The most powerful anything else that you have does 4. So if you can make those, if you can make the hits work for you, it's great. The caveat is still some of these bosses don't care. This guy, you might notice last time I didn't use any magic on him whatsoever. That case is still true here. He always takes 1 damage no matter what damage source it is. So we're just going to stick with punching. And that should allow us to use some more comets in the next hallway. Every comet you do saves about 2 seconds. So every comet that you can pull off is always for the best. Right. I use some of these tiles on the ground just to tell the optimal point to wait and stand up for another punch, but so long as you've got some good idea there, it's really not a problem to deal with this guy. Doing on the 4th phase is a little bit more difficult. That's something you deal with just with timing and practice. And similar case for wall face here. He does take 4 damage from the comet, but Phoenix, he also takes 4 on, and you don't get the benefit of being able to use the Phoenix on multiple cycles for him. So this is the best we got. Oddly enough, while this is a boss rush, you don't face all the bosses. There's, for whatever reason, they just decided not to include the Wind boss as part of that, and there's not any real reason why. Possibly they just didn't want to deal with adding in extra wind room here or something like that. Okay. Phoenix has no problem flying underwater and easily takes out the clams in a much sooner. So they each have 16 health. Phoenix goes around, does 8 to each of them. Easy peasy. The timing is still a little tight, but not really too much of an issue. Something I didn't mention before, the patterns for Dragafant are entirely based on your position relative to, let's just say, his head. And I can always force him to do what I want just by staying at a particular distance by the time he chooses his next attack. So that's why those strats are kind of consistent. I'm able to always keep him in the same place, know where he's going to go next, and use the Phoenix to its utmost potential. And finally, we get to beat up Ashura. Go. Bit of revenge. This fight is a pain in the butt if you don't have full magic, because you'll get there, he'll use the shield. The only way to break the shield is with Phoenix. If you happen to die while you're figuring that out, for example, you'll respawn with exactly enough for 1 Phoenix, and then all the rest of the damage you need to deal naturally. But we planned it out this time, so not too much of an issue. However, of course, he's not the big bad. There's got to be another one. So Raglan, the Lord of Darkness, King of Destruction, is waiting for us, and this is another different fight. We'll need to focus just a little bit. Go. Time will be coming up. Time.
Nice.
Okay. So I couldn't really talk throughout the rest of that, but 16 HP. You basically are in a damage race between just you and him, and for every point of damage that you deal to him, you basically take one in return, just because that he has a counter. So that laser beam where that fires along the ground is extremely difficult to dodge naturally, like to the point where it's not even beneficial to try. So instead, you just take a damage from his face, which is usually a little easier to work with. It'll deal out enough. It'll deal out 1 damage. You get enough iframes to last out the laser, and you can just keep on repeating that. You have just enough HP to make it work, so long as you use your magic heal to avoid the laser, and you want to keep him from rising just enough. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in the tutorial tomorrow. For right now, that was a run of Skyblazer. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope the runners going after are going to enjoy learning all about this kind of intricate game as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Omni. That was awesome.
What was the time on that, by the way?
It was 27:31.
27:30. All right. So yeah, considering a couple deaths thrown in there, that's not too bad. I'm hoping to see some 26s from our racers if they get enough practice in. That'd be fun.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. Very curious. I saw you had 1 billion lives at the end of that. Well, what actually happens if you game over?
If you game over, you are just taken back to the most recent hut. So losing lives, usually not a problem. If you're playing blind, yeah, it might be. But for the most part, with enough backup strategies, there shouldn't be any point where, even if you have an accidental death somewhere along the way, you have some room to come back and fiddle with. Maybe you use a little fewer resources, or maybe it even give you more resources than you expected. For example, on the wind boss there, if I had died, it's not unheard of to fall off the wind or to take an extra hit from him. That puts you back in with 4 magic instead of the 2 that you entered with, and that opens up a whole lot of possibilities. So possibly, just to make things simpler for themselves, some of the racers might even consider taking intentional deaths here and there, just to recover a little bit more magic. Let's say if they miss a manip or anything else like that.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's good. Definitely more forgiving than some of the games like Super Mario Bros. 2 that we've had in the past. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see the tutorial. But I think we're running out of stuff. Unless Darkman, you have anything else you need to say?
No, that's it for me. It was fun. I enjoyed filling in for this week, but I'm sure the next games I'm going to be keeping an eye on and see what we're going to see. I'm sure there's going to be some interesting ones. But yeah, thanks for having me, and that's it for me too. So I believe we're going to go ahead and close things out now. We'll find a raid target for y'all, run a few more ads to help the stream out, and that'll be it for us. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Seasons 3. We will see you hopefully tomorrow to check out the tutorial for Skyblazer. Otherwise, we'll see you 2 weeks from now on Sunday. Same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Take it easy.
Take care.